Travis Etienne was drafted as the second running back off the board in the 2021 NFL Draft, going immediately after the Steelers selected Najee Harris. Instantly, he was valued as a top 12 guy in Dynasty Fantasy Football and being valued as such on the trade market and in startups. And then in the preseason, he suffered a Lisfranc injury. His value plummeted and has not recovered since. Right now in Dynasty startups, he's consistently getting drafted in the 5th and 6th round. In best ball leagues, he's typically going in the 4th round. I'm Dave Kluge, and I'm here to tell you that he is a great value at his current ADP in all fantasy football formats. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube page. That is youtube.com/footballguys. In addition to these short videos that we're bringing you every single day, we've also got our full-length shows like the Audible, the Dynasty Newsletter Show, the Launchpad, Football Guys Mailbag Show, and so much more. So check that out at youtube.com/footballguys. Now, I'm not going to talk a lot about Travis Etienne's profile and his college production because you probably heard all that last offseason. What I'm going to talk about is the injury that he suffered and what we should expect going forward. So let's dive into the history of Lisfranc injuries just a bit here. It's a very scary word, and a lot of people use it as a death sentence for pro athletes. We've got Santonio Holmes, Maurice Jones-Drew, Darren McFadden, Cedric Benson, Ronnie Brown, Ted Ginn Jr., Jake Locker. That's just a small list of the guys who never really hit their full potential after suffering a Lisfranc injury. However, there are some other guys that came back and had really good careers afterwards. Brian Westbrook, Dwight Freeney, Jonathan Allen, Le'Veon Bell. Most recently was Joe Mixon, who in 2020 had an injury, missed almost the entire season, and then bounced back in 2021 to have a career year. When you look at these injuries, though, a lot of them are just sprains or mild ones that didn't really have a high level of severity. And because of that, it caused them to linger and get re-aggravated. When we're looking at what happened with Travis Etienne having a full fracture and a surgery, there are two guys that have recently had that, Julio Jones and Hollywood Brown. Now, Julio Jones came back the very next season, went for over 1,400 yards, and hit that mark for 5 straight seasons afterwards. Hollywood Brown got off to a slow start after having surgery prior to his rookie season, but now he is a budding superstar in the league, and I don't think anybody even remembers that he had that surgery push down his draft stock going into his rookie season. Now, when you see young players that have been able to recover, I think that bodes pretty well for Travis Etienne. Let's look at some other injuries outside of Lisfranc injuries. If you remember, prior to Adrian Peterson tearing his ACL in 2011, an ACL tear used to be the end of the road for a lot of NFL players. Well, guess what? Adrian Peterson came back 8 months later and won the MVP. When Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles, a lot of people saw that as the end of the road for Kobe Bryant, but he came back the very next season, went on to play a few more years. When Kevin Durant tore his Achilles a few seasons later, he bounced right back without missing a beat. And then last year, we saw Deonta Foreman and Cam Akers both come back and play at a high level after suffering Achilles tears. So what used to be career enders for pro athletes are now just becoming minor inconveniences in their career path. I'm thinking that we might be getting to that point with Lisfranc injuries, but the public hasn't really adapted to it yet. What I'm getting at is that the progress we've made in modern medicine should not be ignored. It's very easy to find reasons to fade Travis Etienne. The dreaded Lisfranc fracture, a team that won 3 games last year, a rookie quarterback that really didn't do too much as a rookie, and a lot of people are looking at him as a face planter heading into next year. He's got Doug Peterson, who likes to spread out the ball among a core of running backs. But I'm not really that concerned. If we are expecting any sort of improvement from last year's offense, Travis Etienne should firmly be ranked inside your top 20. James Robinson is expected to be out at the beginning of the 2022 season, so the job should be Etienne's for the taking. And last year, despite missing 3 games with injuries, being inexplicably benched for a fumble by Urban Meyer, James Robinson was still able to churn out a top 24 season. He did that on a team that won 3 games and scored the fewest points of any team since 2018. Now, if you're projecting the Jaguars offense to get a little bit better, that's obviously good for Travis Etienne. However, it isn't really necessary. Etienne was a pass-catching monster at Clemson, racking up 588 receiving yards, the most in the NCAA on 48 receptions in his final season in 2020. And guess who his quarterback was that year? That's right, Trevor Lawrence, the same quarterback he now has in Jacksonville. That type of usage in the passing game should make Travis Etienne completely game script proof. When the team is up, he's going to get carries. And when they're down, he's going to get receptions. Etienne is next in line for a role that we have seen guys like Christian McCaffrey and DeAndre Swift absolutely thrive in, playing on bad teams as the pass-catching back. He could also end up a 3-down back with James Robinson not being ready for camp, and he's an extension of the passing game. All of those things make him a fantastic asset in fantasy football. Right now, with him getting drafted in the 4th round in best ball, I expect that to skyrocket once camps open up. All it's going to take is seeing one quick cut, one hurdle, something showing that he is fully healthy before people push him into the 2nd round of fantasy football drafts. So what I'm trying to do right now is acquire as much as I can at a discounted price before that value skyrockets. Trust modern medicine and take the risk on Travis Etienne breaking out in 2022.